Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news discussion and, of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Evgeni. Hi.
Okay, I should have tried to do that earlier and not improv it.
Yeah.
I am a 33-year-old man called Argent.
Okay, yeah, and you've had quite the comedy of errors to get on an episode in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that in a minute.
Okay. Also joining us back for a while is Shannon. Hey.
Hi, you would know me as Gray.
Hey. We also got Marvin.
Hi, I'm Paleo.
And lastly, we got Veronica.
Hello, you may know me as Cheyenne Sedai on the Discord and forums.
Hey, and I'm Chaos. And so we're gonna do more Wobs today. We're gonna finally finish off the spoiler stream Wobs, and then there's gonna be Tress Wobs. And by the time we're done with this episode, maybe there'll be more spoiler streams. Then we'll just keep doing Wobs. And then there'll be Secret Project 3. Hey, we did it, guys. Hey. So Evgeni, tell us. The audience needs to know what's because it's very entertaining. So
Okay.
you need to explain.
Dear audience, sit down, lean back, put your feet up, start a fire. Not in your house, just like kind of a communal storytelling fire. I was supposed to be not here. I was supposed to be elsewhere. I was supposed to be at the JordanCon. We are recording this on April the 23rd, which is kind of the last day of 2023's JordanCon.
Yep. And
I try to attend every year. I've attended for the past like 4 or something like that.
Yeah, what happened?
So what happened was, what was happening was weather. I got weathered.
Yeah.
I had all the plans made, right? I had my airplane, I had my hotel. I was planning on doing like birthday things at the convention because yesterday, April 22nd, was my birthday.
Put your comments below. Happy birthday, Evgeni. I know it'll be like
belated.
a month late, but that's fine. Happy belated birthday.
Even today, it's belated.
That's
yeah.
true.
It is.
It is.
Also, I am the cupcake. Anyway,
Cupcake.
We got to get you a wider green screen.
Well, get me a new house first. Anyway,
Okay. Oh yeah, I'll just use Patreon money to buy you a house. Not buy me a house, buy you a house.
you already have a house.
That's
Shut
true,
up.
I do.
Anyway, so I was gonna be there and I was gonna do like birthday things, right? And so on Thursday, and I booked all my time off from work. And on Thursday, I get to the airport. First of all, my flight was delayed by a couple of hours, but I knew that enough ahead of time to like not waste time at the airport. Like I just left later. And I go to the airport and I hang out. First of all, my gate was like the last gate in the terminal. I had to walk the entire O'Hare International Airport.
Oh yeah, and that's a walk. That is a walk.
Yeah. And so I hang out there for a minute, or 100 minutes, and the flight gets delayed again. I'm like, but only like half an hour. Well, this is fine. And then about half an hour later, they're like, flight's canceled. Go walk to this other end of the airport for rebook, or use the app. I'm like, I'll use the app. And I use the app, and the app's like, you can't do this online. Go to the other end of the airport for rebook.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Very good. Quality.
And so I go there, and I was one of the first people to get in line. So there were only like maybe 15 people ahead of me.
Ooh.
And I'm chatting up with there was this lady whose flight was to Dallas, I believe, whose flight also got canceled. So I was chatting her up. And there was also a professional like motorcycle racer, like 18-year-old kid. And so we were...
Oh, he's going to die young.
we were talking just to pass the time and to make things not seem miserable, because both of them had like been super delayed. Like the lady was there since the morning, and we get to our turn in line, and I don't know what happened with the two of them because they were ahead of me. But I go there, and the person at the desk is like, "So all the flights for today are canceled, or at least to Atlanta, right?
Okay.
All the flights are canceled. Everything tomorrow, so everything for Friday is already overbooked, so we can't do that. Best I can do is I can put you on a flight on Saturday, and you'll be arriving like late afternoon, I think is what the person said.
Oh, yeah.
Quality for a convention.
Not
And I'm like, my convention is Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is the closing ceremony. Like, that defeats the whole purpose.
Yep.
And so I'm like, get me off of this thing. Oh, there was also another option that was like late Friday with, I think it was either 2 or 3 transfers.
Nice.
Like I would have had to go to like Pittsburgh and then somewhere else and then Atlanta.
So why were all the flights canceled, Evgeni?
Because there were tornado watches in like all of the Midwest for like the entire day.
Nice. Good.
And those pilots, those pansies, didn't want to fly in the middle of a tornado.
They didn't want to have a spinny fun time.
No, that's like you get a flight and a roller coaster at the same time.
What everyone wants. This is a slice of life podcast now. Actually, we're just talking about our days. Right. But also, the week before, you were going to be on the episodes. You were never supposed to be here. The week before, there was even more.
I didn't even know we were going to talk about that. Yeah, so the week before, we were going to record on a Saturday, and Friday, like 9 a.m., my internet goes down, and so I have to make do with my hotspot, which I found out. By the way, that because my T-Mobile plan is so old, my hotspot speeds are just 3G. Like
I didn't even know they still had 3G on.
Yeah.
Aren't like Verizon turned off its 3G.
I don't know what's going on, but my download was like 120 kilobits per second.
Good.
And my upload was like 5, I think.
Kilobits.
So I could open my Gmail and I could open my Slack. That was about it.
Good.
I couldn't open GitHub. Like GitHub would not load.
That's so sad.
Nice.
It timed out.
Very good.
Anyway, so internet goes down on Friday. I'm like, fine. That happens sometimes. And it's down all of Friday. And then Saturday, it's still not there. Oh, and a couple of times during the Friday, I called in. They're like, we have an outage in the area. But people were there. People were working on it. And so Saturday, internet's still down. I'm like, what is this outage that it's taking like 24 hours? What is this? I call them and they're like, oh yeah, the outage is done. It's gone. I'm like, but my internet.
But my internet.
And so we do a little bit of troubleshooting and nothing works. They're like, okay, fine. We can get a technician to you. Earliest we can do is Monday. I'm like, I have to spend an entire weekend with no internet. What is this?
It is really the worst.
Hell on earth.
Yeah.
Hell on earth.
So
Yeah, genuinely.
I had a couple of single player games on my computer, fortunately, that I binged a lot. And anyway, so technician comes in on Monday, and we do a little bit more testing. And guys like, so your modem's hosed. And fortunately, he had another modem like in his, not the car, but in his van. And so I am currently renting a modem from my ISP instead of using my own. But I have internet. In fact, so I'm paying for like 300 megabits per second. Because the modem is newer and better than the one I have. When I run speed tests, what happens is my download spikes to like 900 and then rapidly
They're like,
decays
no,
to
you're
300.
only paying for 300.
Because the ISP is like, no, we can't have him. We can't have him do that.
Too much power.
So I've been looking at new internet plans these days.
You just had 2 very unlucky weekends in a row.
Yeah,
and now we're here.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah.
You're on a show. We read all your wobs last time.
Yeah, we can read them again. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of internet stuff, like I am so glad that a couple of weeks that we recorded that I was also on something.
Yes.
Like we recorded on Saturday. On Sunday, there was a ginormous storm, and since I was at the farm, like the storm like took out to the antenna like for the whole area. There was no internet. I was like, thank God we recorded this on Saturday.
Oh, because that was right before the wedding.
That was before the wedding.
Yeah,
that was the weekend before the wedding.
Yeah, that would have been very
And I was
bad.
like, it would have been terrible if we decided to record.
I'm
on
sorry.
Sunday.
I'm just like the
Because-
antenna.
The project would have just impossible to record.
Oh, God. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And so I spent that entire day just working on like some artsy stuff that I'm not going to.
No internet land.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's the worst land.
No
Cool.
internet. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all for this episode. But I guess no, just kidding. Let's talk about news. We talked about most of the news last time, but there is some new news about our favorite Kickstarter / Indiegogo ever.
Right.
It's White Sand. Apparently, Dynamite wants everyone who got a deluxe to send their stuff back to get a new copy because there's too much glitter. I didn't have a problem with
I
it. So
don't know why they possibly would want to do that.
Well, you have a separate.
you have a
Yeah.
separate problem.
That's-
issues.
That's so
happens.
much glitter on the wrong spot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah. So that's fun. I'm not sending mine back. Mine's fine. I'm leaving it, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. So that's what I'm
feel
doing.
that. I do want to show you something cool. Speaking of Kickstarters, by the way.
Okay.
So you guys know that some of us are Will White / Credo fans,
Sure.
and
All
I
right. Mhm.
remember how when Brandon announced his Kickstarter, Will White had
Oh yes.
his own Kickstarter like 2 days later or whatever it was.
Oh, he had to record like a new video, right?
Yeah,
Sort of like,
which was hilarious. But like,
Yeah.
I love that this happened. But I got my books a few weeks back, and so I want to show you. So this is the first book in the Credo series.
That does look nice.
It's so
for sure.
nice.
For sure.
It is called Unsold, and I'll show you the other two real quick. They all have the same
It's
design. Right? They have the
Yeah.
symbol of the book on the front.
so cool.
They're fake leather, but they are nice books, nice paper, and they come in with like these interior. This is the main character, or one of the main characters. They come with these illustrations, and they have like chapter headings that show like landscapes
That's nice.
of the book, and they come with little bookmarks with quotes from the books. So I got those as well. I know this is not Brandon stuff, but there is a non-insignificant overlap between Brandon fandom and Credo fandom. So
It's true.
Look,
Really cute.
if you are looking
Yeah.
for things to read, many of us will recommend those.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that red one looks like my collection of classics I inherited from my grandparents.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. Those are all the old timey books. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I have a whole thing of, well, 2 actually.
Nice. Well, let's head on over into wob mode. Let's get some wobs. Let's finally get through some wobs. Maybe we'll do a topic episode sometime.
How is your face, my dude?
But we got stuff to do. So, Evgeni, you're up.
I'm up.
You're like, I'm doing a bit.
Oh shit! I have to read.
We run a very tight ship on this show, guys. We're
My ship is so tight.
we're 15 minutes in, no wobs yet.
My ship is so tight.
What does that even mean?
You said we're on a tight ship. I'm just like, my ship is tight. What do you want from me?
Okay, cool.
our question. So this is YouTube spoiler stream 5.
Yeah, we just have a few
And-
more, and then we're gonna do in Tress Wobs. So
Okay, cool.
that's what's happening.
Then our question comes from Seth Cran, a name that Google really wants me to correct to Seth Ran. And the question goes: when Kelsier said, spoilers for all of the Cosmere, including the Lost Meadow and Tress.
Yeah, everything.
When Kelsier said in the Lost Meadow that he couldn't steal push over water, do the Ghostbloods think that Kelsier has his elementic powers, or is he lying to them about it? And Brandon says, yes, they think he has elementic powers still.
This is a big deal.
This is a huge deal. Like, it blows my mind, right? I mean, it doesn't blow my mind, but it's mildly surprising to me, right? I can 100% believe that Kelsier would go, I cannot let other people know or think that I've lost my magical powers. So I'm going to just engineer situations where, like, I either don't have to use my powers or I do something else that looks like my powers. And so everyone thinks that I'm still strong and I'm still in charge. I can believe that Kelsier would do that.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that for the however many decades, if not centuries, the Ghostbloods have existed, they haven't been able to figure it out. Like, he has kept up this charade successfully.
Kelsier, pro charades player here.
Oh, charades. Extremely good liar. Very good at this.
Yeah, clearly.
True.
I mean, allomancy isn't something that's easy to keep up the charade for. It's much easier to keep up the charade. Like, how in the world is he convincing the Ghostbloods that he has powers when, like, things like steel pushing, like, how? Because I guess he might be good enough at reading people and, like, figuring out how to manipulate people with his words to fake emotional allomancy, maybe. But Kelsier is well known for his steel pushing and iron pulling. Like, that was his specialty in the original trilogy. How in the world is he faking that?
Yeah, that's really the question, isn't it? Like, how would you even do that necessarily, right?
Ropes, lots of ropes.
Ropes.
Stage magic.
Yeah.
Maybe there are a couple that do know. I don't know, because it's
Maybe
There seem
Twinsoul
to be-
knows. Maybe.
because there seem to be a few of them, or a couple of them that seem to be in on the inside a little bit more.
They might be.
Certainly this wob just said, like, it indicates, all the Ghostbloods believe it, but like,
I mean, it's
could
a general. It's just general.
I could
Do the
believe that
Ghostbloods.
one or two, maybe no.
I can get behind Twinsoul knowing, especially like, because the Ghostbloods have this hierarchy, right? Master apprentice. Twinsoul's master is Kelsier.
Yeah.
Shy's master is not Kelsier. Shy's master is Twinsoul.
All right. Mm-hmm.
No, wait, that's not true.
No.
I was like, no, I thought it was Kelsier.
No.
Like
everyone.
Emilio's
No,
master.
it's Kelsier. It's Kelsier. Yeah, I'm confusing that with when Maracy was offered membership.
Yeah.
She was going to be under Twinsoul.
You're also thinking of the Sith, I think, as well. Funny enough. you might be thinking of Star Wars.
Rule of
maybe.
two.
Yeah.
I mean, not master, but they have the Babsk thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking like the conversation with Twinsoul at the very end of Lost Metal, where Twinsoul seems to be like has some knowledge of the ways that Kelsier has made mistakes in the past. So I was like thinking, I don't know. I just have a vibe that at least like a couple people do know and are kind of helping sell it.
Yeah. I think that's plausible.
I mean, if Shy knows,
I don't
she
think
could
Shy knows.
definitely use. I mean, I don't know if she knows or if she doesn't, but potentially she could. Like, Aeondor is super versatile, and so like even if she doesn't, like Elantrian, like all the Solus magics in general are super versatile, so she could be helping that because they can do anything almost.
They can do a lot.
I wonder if they forged him.
I was just gonna say that. I wonder if she like has like very short-lived temporary stamps that because giving him allomancy through forgery is a stamp that is going to be very likely to stick, right? because that's a very plausible forgery.
Unless there's just such weirdness with his soul that's like there could be some issues with like how the other magics work, but like at least on the plausibility standpoint, sure, right?
Yeah. I do think that like there has to be something blocking that, like probably just cognitive shadow stuff maybe as well, because if Shai can turn herself into a full Elantrian and like she has to be she has to be turned back actively, like she would stay in Elantrian if they don't turn her back. I feel like turning Calcia back into an Elsamancer would be pretty easy and would stick. So there has to be something there that prevents it from either working permanently or like even working at all. Maybe it doesn't work because weirdness.
Yeah. And if Shai could give powers back to Kelsier, I don't think he would keep that knowledge from Shai because I think he really wants to be an Allomancer, right? So it's like, oh yeah, cool. This is, I usually don't tell people. I tell almost no one, but you can actually help me. So that does seem like maybe that's not possible. So it just really makes me wonder how Kelsier's hoodwinking them all.
Generally pretty ironic how like Kelsier or like the scheduling Ghostbusters are like, we share knowledge and everything. And of course, then Kelsier's the one, I will keep my secrets.
And I mean, that's the whole point. It's like, oh, even Kelsier will tell you secrets. It's like, well, he knows. And the readers are all like, absolutely not. No way.
That's why I do think Shai doesn't know, because she's the one like, who seems to believe that Kelsier is on the level, and she just has this vibe that she believes Kelsier, not that she's covering for Kelsier. So yeah. All right. Kandra Allomancer asks,
what a name.
Cool. Are the men of gold and red from any shard world we've seen so far? Do they use any magic system we currently know? And Brandon answers, yes. Maybe not only, but yes. They are from a shard world we've seen.
Is that yes about the first question or just the second one? Like that's the question.
I think it's like there were two questions and there are 2 sentence answers. Are the men of gold and red from any shard world we've seen before? Yes. Do they have any magic system we currently know? Not only, but yes.
I want to listen to the audio. Hold up.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I would think that this is Brandon just responding to the second one. And he's like, they probably use a bunch of magic. Maybe not exclusively one that you know, but that's how I'm interpreting this.
If this was written, I would think question 1, question 2, answer 1, answer 2.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's spoken, so it's a little different, right?
Yeah,
it's really not a clear it's not a question 1, question 2. It's the way it is transcribed is the way it is in the audio.
Okay. Well, at least that's a yes for magic system.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. But I would imagine, I guess if they use the magic system, they don't need to be from a world we know, right? But I do think it's possible that there's some weird Taldane thing in the future, right? Like, that's very plausible, potentially. Taldane's supposed to be pretty advanced, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And timeline-wise, it's been a long time since we've seen Taldane. So
who knows what's going on with the timeline? But certainly, right?
They do seem pretty similar to the constructs that the sorceress has in Tress, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people were.
Yeah.
Hypothesizing.
So I do think that if they might just be as part of their whole construction awakened soldiers, basically.
I'll say that was my initial first impression. Like, I read The Lost Meadow and then I read Tress and I was like, oh, these are the same thing. Actually rereading the descriptions and the passages has made me less confident in that assessment. I think I made some assumptions there that are not entirely substantiated by the text.
I think it's because they look like automaton men in a sense. That does take a lot of people straight to awakened
unclear if that's the case, though, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are they actually men or are they automatons? I think that's like if we could get a wob answering like, are they actual people? Like, or were they once actual people? Like that would be a big indicator.
It definitely seems like the ones in Tress were never people.
Yes.
Correct.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, they are. They
Those
are
are clearly constructs.
Yeah.
golems, right?
But like the other ones, not necessarily.
The Lost Metal, I had just had this vibe that they were more actual people that maybe autonomy had, hive-minded or something.
It really reminded me of like a super advanced version of how like Odium took control of like Amram's army with the glowing red eyes and things like that. Like it gave vibes of like that, but with like the weird skin and stuff and weird weaponry. Kind of like that.
Oh, it's the Borg. Yeah.
I mean,
that, I gotta be honest, that would be a pretty cool like autonomy thing. It's like, yeah, you can have all your individuality just the way I want it. It's like that actually fits pretty well.
Yeah, your individuality will be added to our own.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care if it's copying the Borg. The Borg are awesome, and I'd be too cool with Cosmere Borg. But
your individualities belong to us.
The Borg is from Star Trek, Veronica.
I figured. Okay.
Yeah.
Never watched Star Trek, but.
So basically, they're like organic beings. They were people once, but then they get implants. So this is important to understand the concept. They're given like implants or other kinds of magic or technology or whoever to like connect their minds to the central mind. So it's they're very scary because it's basically as soon as you enter the Borg, you're no longer yourself anymore. Like you're kind of like just a moving part like of one of the whole. Very cool villains. And also I'm like, they do seem hive-minded. Like they did seem like people who had also no sense of self. So that was,
So there was a Borg queen, but yeah.
There was a Borg queen, but autonomy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, the Borg episodes are the best part of Next Generation. Let's be honest. They're very good. It's so fun talking to the younger generation. Is like, ooh, we get to talk about the Borg. Oh man,
to the new generation. It's Next Generation.
Yeah.
Just be thankful.
Yeah,
I'm not in a situation of what happened to my dad, where he's like, okay, I'm finally gonna watch Star Wars after all these years on a like long flight back from a work trip in Singapore. And he was like, and he watched the whole thing, and he was like, "Wait, R2-D2 never made an appearance. He watched Star Trek and stuff."
No.
So like, I
watched all the Star Trek movies. It's like,
oh god, that's really funny.
My brother, who is 6 years younger than me, so he's like 27, watched The Lord of the Rings for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Very good.
Nice.
Also, I need everyone to know that having Brandon be Evgeni's background with the hand up, it makes it seem like Evgeni's like, wait, hold on. I have something I need to say. And every time I look over there, it's like, do we need to stop a thing?
It's the marriage hand, just like in the
Yeah,
it like, looks like it could be.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
one more thing.
Like, hold up. We got pause, guys. Yeah. We do edit these. Wow. Not any of this nonsense. This nonsense is staying in.
This is good nonsense.
All right, let's do the next one.
Yeah,
Marvin.
This next one is coming from Lutheran Telescope.
Hell yeah.
Also known as Punny. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hi, Punny.
Hi, Punny.
This is a good question, too.
Punny.
Yeah.
Traitor to
in the Lost Metal. In the Lost Metal, we find that Shodel have 4 arms, making 6 appendages. In the sample chapters for the Life of Partinal, we find that a Fain deer has 6 legs. Is this pattern important? Brennan answered to that, yeah. And so as a follow-up further, how relevant to this is that if you count 4 legs plus 2 wings, Dranks have 6 limbs. And Brennan's answer was, yep, that is the exact correlation that I would like you to draw. Dragons are Fain, if you're wondering. If that was the question, is yes, dragons are Fain.
Dragons are Fain.
I'd put that as the title of the episode, but I don't know if you guys listening actually know what Fain is, because honestly, we don't know what Fain is. Like,
we don't know what.
Yeah,
in the category of Tamakeks and
Tamakeks. Yeah,
and about 6 months ago it was the category of ethers.
Yeah. Put your comments below if you remember Tamakeks.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know.
I don't know.
I think we've brought him up enough on the show that
Yeah.
will know.
But you know,
the good old bone phone.
The bone phone. That's true. Yeah, we have talked about that a lot.
See, I didn't know there were Fain deer, so I'm like, wow, that's so mundane.
Yeah, there's a few Lyre of Partnell sample chapters. Punny has like all of them that ever came out.
Yeah.
All you reading, or are you listening? Some of us have never read all of that stuff. Me included. I've never touched Lyre of Partnell. No clue.
No.
All right. We need to put a hard pause on this conversation because something just blew my mind.
Okay.
What?
In a recent Intentionally Blank episode, Brandon and Dan talked about like how the two of them are working together, and Dan was telling a story about how it's really nice to have what is essentially an art department, right? He walks up in the room and it's like there's like 3 artists there, and he's like, hey, I want concepts for this thing. And the example that he gave was Dan is working on a Cosmere story. The example that he gave was he wanted a world where they don't ride horses, they ride something else. And it's not just like a fantasy horse, like it's not a unicorn or anything like that, like a different animal, right?
What if it's a Fain deer?
Well, not necessarily a Fain deer, but the Fain deer made me go like, okay, so Fain is this like creepy, weird thing that is spreading around the Cosmere, and Dan is writing a story where they're not riding horses, they're writing something unique.
That does seem
what
creepy.
if Dan is writing
someone else writing
like a Fain life or like a story on a world that's been taken over by the Fain or something like that.
Okay. And that is why Brandon said, I remember somebody talking about this on, I think, the other Brandon content channel on the Shard, how they like it's gonna be a year at least until like Dan and Isaac stuff comes out, and that they're still working on world building. What if that's the reason why? Because Brandon has to make sure that the Fain is right, that it's consistent with what his plans for Dragonsteel are, that it works with the way the Cosmere is built now, rather than like way back when he wrote Lyre of Partnell and Dragonsteel Prime.
Has to make decisions.
That has a lot of world building that needs to be done. So it makes sense that it takes so long. And it's very important world building.
Absolutely.
I think at this point we should also, just for people who don't know, briefly insert what Fain life. So it's sort of this.
That's totally cool. I also have no idea. I'm just going along with this.
You're our audience stand-in, Shannon. Welcome to the show.
I love being the audience stand-in because I get to say, y'all, I'm just happy to be here. I don't know what Fain life is, and I'm just going to pretend that I do.
Yeah, you just got to ask the questions the audience wants, you know?
Fain life, my understanding is that it exists, and I knew the sixth limb thing before, but that's kind of all I did know was that something they're creatures, people, six limbs.
So
take it away.
Yeah, Fain life sort of is this sort of parallel line of life, you could say, that presumably also originated on Yolen, like all the shards did, and humans maybe also. And yeah, the big deal is that they all life forms have 6 limbs, and there's this weird, like from what we know of like what Dragonsteel would be was about originally, it's that Fain life is basically taking over Yolen, and it's it's like this infection in a way that spreads over the planet, and it's like very white everything, and you have like the trees that are all covered in white stuff. That's also like lichen in it a little bit.
Yeah. Like spores. This is my favorite kind of horror. This is like my favorite. Exactly. I'm so, Dan, please make it so horrible.
Yeah. And so dragons also are part of that, as this implies. And I think we knew this before, that dragons were Fain. But
no, not like this. Not like this.
Yeah.
So Punny did bring like an old wob that could reasonably be read as confirming that dragons are Fain. I think most people either didn't interpret it that way, because it could have been read in a different way, or just collectively forgot about it or something. But nothing as explicit as this.
Yeah,
and I think part of the reason why all of us are like we aren't as mind blown about this like while we're talking about it is because it's been like 5 months
around.
Yeah,
it's been nearly 5 months.
We've already internalized this, and so it's like, oh yeah, dragons are Fain, sure.
Of course, we knew this. I feel like I've always known this.
Like,
that is the problem.
No.
So I will say there are Dragonsteel Prime sample chapters. So, okay, for those of you who don't know, there was Dragonsteel Prime, which was the original Yolan draft. That's the one with the Shattered Plains that eventually got moved to Roshar. There are sample chapters of that where you can basically read the Bridge 4 sequence just be in Dragonsteel Prime. You can just read it. They're fighting Shodel. I'll put it in the description in case you're curious. Whenever we mention like unpublished stuff, I'll put links in the description. Okay. Liar of Partnell was written much like a few years later, and it was like a redo of that. So things probably changed from Dragonsteel Prime to Liar of Partnell and the world building advance. However, read those sample chapters. The Shodel do worship a god, and that god is a dragon. So I get that's not actually. It never occurred to me, but it's like, yeah, the dragons are important to the Shodel. So okay, that makes sense, right? So
as a quick, so the Shodel are basically the human equivalent in Fain life.
Yes.
Yeah. And you saw those at the end of Lost Metal.
Yeah, exactly.
For the first time.
And
Melan's
Ulida, the vessel of
Ulida.
ambition, was a Shodel.
Yep. They have that sort of two word names. It's like 2 syllable. No, that's not it. No. So, and I would imagine like at least 1 or 2 more vessels are Shodel as well. Personally, that wouldn't be surprising.
Again, Brandon said only cultivation.
What's the dragon? Yeah, but you know, dragons are presumably rare. Okay, whereas Shodel are probably less so, maybe. So
true.
Anyway, that is very interesting that they're Fain, and I like our headcanon that a Dan story would be about encroaching ecologies. Honestly, that just reminds me of the movie Annihilation. So it's like if Dan wrote a thing like that with Fain and in Cosmere, well, that'd be sweet. I'd like that a lot, actually.
Dan's wheelhouse.
That would be sweet.
Yeah,
he's a horror writer, so
exactly the vibe I was hoping for when we were talking about.
So this is the last wob of the spoiler stream, and then we'll go on to the Tress Wobs.
Hell yeah.
Love That Dog asks, why won't Moonlight Stamp wear off by itself? And Brandon says, this is an excellent question. It is. I'm so glad I asked this.
Yep.
The answer is it might someday. But the other question is, it's been a spell. Depending on where I time these things, it's either been hundreds of years or decades since. Moonlight has had a lot of time to practice with powers and investigate what's possible in the Cosmere with magic and talk to some of the smartest people in the Cosmere about how it works. Maybe Chris? I don't know.
Maybe.
You should draw from the way soul stamps work, the more mundane ones that Shai has made a ton of progress in pushing forward the art of forgery.
I was thinking like minutes ago when we were talking about Shai before, I was thinking like, oh, I actually was thinking about this and I was like, oh, obviously it's because she powered it with Aeon Door. And now I'm like, oh, well, now I'm feeling like maybe that wasn't the reason at all.
Well, I don't think the stamp was charged by Andor. Like the Andor is just like the power source that you need to make it work. Like that you can actually draw Aeons, right? Like the stamp, I think, is just done the normal way the stamps work.
Yeah, but it's you need. I figured because Elantrians are so invested that they would need a baseline that's much higher. So that's why I was thinking that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
That's essentially what's happening. The trend, like normally, forgery is a very cheap arcana. It's very cheap magic, right? Like in the Emperor's Soul, like Elantris doesn't need any external source of investiture to perform her art. But transforming into an Elantrian, ironically, we have a WoB, or not ironically, but appropriately, we have a WoB where someone asked about transforming into a Mistborn.
Several WoBs. Like this has come up for like a decade, honestly.
But like pure Unkeyed Door came from that one, where someone was asking, "Hey, how do I?"
that was more
recent.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and the WoB, well, the transformation is so big, you need something like Purified Door to like make it happen, because you actually need all of this investiture.
And ultimately, we really don't know exactly what rules Shai has, been able to break with forgery. What are like the new restrictions and things? So like a lot of the stuff in Emperor's Soul might not be true anymore. But if anything, we kind of don't have enough information about forgery that it's like this almost doesn't make sense. Like I get that the magic's changed, but honestly, Lost Metal might work better if you don't read Emperor's Soul, because the magic is different. Yeah. Might be the case.
So it is notable that even with the regular stamps that Shai is using, like the universal soul stamps, the ones that make a door and repair broken objects.
Make a door.
I tried to make sure that the word is that I enunciate the extra.
But was it Dor the Singer? Never forget, there's a person who's named Dor the Singer. D-O-R.
Dor the Singer.
Rhythm of War.
She uses invested ink for those, right? So that is one of the ways that Lost Metal stamp or stamps in the Lost Metal are potentially different from stamps in the Emperor's. So like the way I try to think of this is in the context of advances in science, right? Shai in the Emperor's Soul is like call it like an 18th century scientist doing some stuff with electricity or whatever. And Shai in the Lost Metal is, a 21st century scientist or engineer. Like, you are still dealing with the same principles. You're still doing like electric circuitry and things like that, but you are doing so much more complicated things that to someone from the past, what you were doing seems like, okay, well, this should not have been possible.
Sure. Yeah, totally. I'm more just thinking like as a reader, like it totally makes sense technologically.
Oh, yeah.
But like, if you wrote a story and the magic system was like, I'm making microchips and things, and it's like in the 50s, and you look at like, I got my phone over here. It's like, yeah, that shouldn't be possible given the rules that we established in the previous thing. But so it's kind of trade-off.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about Words of Brandon from the Tress kind of spoiler stream. It's like a half spoiler stream. And we had Howard there, right? Yes,
we did.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of talk about the Argent stuff, which was very cool. I like the Argent Tress. And Howard's very nice. And so not like we didn't get answers about Midnight Essence, guys. I'll just put it out there that no Midnight Essence questions were answered. So I wouldn't say these Tress Wobs are like mind-blowing, but we got some Tress Wobs, so we're gonna go through Tress Wobs because that's the most recent stuff.
They're Wobs.
They're Wobs. Yeah, they're Wobs.
I would say they're signing line quality Wobs.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, for sure. Our first one is from our friend Asmodeus9. Is there a pattern to when the seethe stops, similar to how the High Storm on Roshar have a pattern? Brandon. Not one that anyone in World through studying has been able to figure out.
Well, it's not a no.
Yep.
We're going to see as we go through these that Brandon's like, yeah, the water cycle's really complicated and weird. And I kind of pushed what the Cosmere can do. And so I'm going to be vague here on some of the magical science for the world of Tress. So.
And it also makes sense that Brandon isn't going to want to like world build this as deeply as he does world building for Stormlight or like even Secrets Project 4, which in just the preview chapters has a ton of world building and a ton of like magical science stuff that he need to figure out, or well, ask people to help him figure out. But for this, like it's a one-off world that I doubt we're going to see it again.
No, yeah, exactly.
And it's very weird, and the tone itself like lends to the fact that he's not going to need to like world build the water cycle and every single aspect of this world that is already incredibly complicated.
Absolutely.
So, I get that.
Because that makes sense, because as soon as he says yes, then he has to answer the audience questions about how.
Well, how?
So,
what's the pattern?
What's the pattern then?
At this point, Brandon's like, okay, I know the danger of this. I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So, which specific slice of the Julia set do I have to take?
I'd be like, they don't know yet. They might know in the future. I'm not gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So you guys have fun.
Yeah.
That would be, but maybe that's not what's going on for him. I don't know. It's such a deliciously vague answer. Not that anyone.
Brandon.
Give us the calculations. No, I'm happy with this. I think this is a healthy answer. Thank you, Brandon.
It is. It's just these Tress Wobs, a lot of them were like this. So,
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is good for him. It is good for him. That's probably for the best for a world that's not Scadrial or Roshar. Like put your world building effort into those, right?
Focus the math. You have to do math for your world building, Brandon. That sucks, but keep it to the real ones.
and I think to contextualize this in a different way, it's good for Brandon to give answers like these because sometimes that is literally the best answer that exists. Speaking in world, so I'm thinking, okay, how would the seas compare to something on Earth? And I'm like, okay, well, what if someone asked me, hey, is there a pattern to the tectonic activity on Earth? Right. I mean, yes, technically, yes, everything is governed by fluid dynamics and gravity and things like that. But am I going to be able to tell you what that? I'm like, yes, there's a pattern. No one knows what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking of that double pendulum that they use to explain chaos theory.
Oh yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very cool. Basically, you lift it up and like it's going to do a different pattern, and it's so cool to watch, but every time it's going to be different. But the thing is, it's sort of like it actually isn't random. It just looks that way because we don't see the forces that are acting on it, and it's just one bit different. It's just like we don't understand the forces. We know that they're there. It's just too far beyond us to see right now. And that's kind of how I'm taking this answer. There's got to be something, but it's.
The moons and stuff on this world are so weird that it's like, I mean, I'd have to be a shard to figure it out, I guess. So it's like, why even try if I'm a Cosmere physicist? It's like, there's no point here.
Leave it for the physicist in 2,000 years to figure out. Don't get it.
Yeah.
That's, I think we've mentioned this before, but like, it's gotta be so sometimes demoralizing to be like a scientist and or arcanist in the Cosmere, because sometimes like you're trying to study freaking I don't know, like gravity and Newtonian motion, and then there's like, it turns out that the planet you are on, there's a god that actively counteracts the natural forces of physics and changes, like there's a god that's keeping this moon in this one spot.
That must make it harder to come up with like Newton's law of gravitation here. It's like, it clearly doesn't work because you can see it right there.
To me, that's just like you just have to learn two different things. I have to learn the way it normally works, and I have to learn what the effect this other being with mind, like with that must be crazy.
Honestly, you probably need to take a lot of history classes and be like, okay, all right, what did the shards do? What do we know? What do we not know? Okay.
Do a psychological profile on the original vessels.
I have every confidence in their society. Just in 5,000 years.
Yeah, eventually, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like if it's this confusing for people in world, I can totally understand how Brandon is gonna be like, I'm not gonna figure this all out. No. This is never gonna work with our physics, and we can't do the actual empirical experiments to try and figure out maybe how it works in the Cosmere. So we're just gonna hand wave it as investiture, magic, shards, whatever. Let's move on.
Thank you for saying no.
I do really like how in the Ars Arcanum of White Sand, to bring it back to the beginning of the episode, the way, like one of the ways that Chris figured out that there's like something funky going on, that there is like this unseen world, as she calls it, is like she looked at the behavior of celestial bodies around the little star, the dark side star of Taldane, and is like, okay, well, these are the motions of the celestial bodies, these are the laws that govern them, and then looked at what's happening on Taldane with the moon, and is like, this is not, they don't match. Something is going on here.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Also kind of follows up on the idea of the seethe. Zabish asks, if the moons are constantly pouring out spores, how do the oceans not fill up?
That's a question we had on our episode too.
Yeah. Do they degrade eventually, or is there another method? And Brandon's answer is just a full page that I am going to half paraphrase, half read selected bits. So TLDR, the whole answer boils down to, yes, the spores degrade eventually, and this process of decomposition causes the seethe. And sometimes Brandon just wants to tell a cool fantasy story and not worry about the science of it too much. So that's the short version. The slightly long version is that Brandon just flat out hasn't done the science for this. Hey, sometimes we do some science, like in Stormlight we do some science, in Secret Project 4 we do some science. Here, no science was done, my man. And when it comes to the seethe, what he says is, and here I quote, where I am right now is, the seethe is partially involved in the way that the spores degrade. And that's part of what causes it. If you've got this decomposition of fantastical sort happening deep down on the bottom of the ocean, and that is causing the seethe. But I've not run the science on this. And then he goes on and talks about kind of the straddling the line between fantasy and science fiction and science, and how he sometimes wants to be able to tell a story where the answer to how things work is, well, a wizard did it. It's how it works. The moons are in a D12 configuration, and that's because the literal god is holding them in place.
Sure, why not?
And then kind of Brandon's own TLDR of the whole thing is, so now that I've got general impressions, such as spores are degrading, the way that they're degrading is actually causing the seethe, much in a kind of an accelerated version of how methane comes up through decomposition, and that's what they're doing. But the water cycle is really tricky. I have some instincts on how that works, but I'm not even going to talk about them because I don't want to canonize that. Because the water cycle is really tricky thing on this planet in particular.
Yeah, I mean, how is there rain at all? That's...
Yeah.
Let's not worry too much about that,
Another wizard did it.
Another wizard.
Big respect, Brandon. Love this answer. I don't have a lot to say. It's just like, yeah, I think he said everything I would even comment on in this. So for the full text as you're reading, everything I'd even want to comment on, I think he's got it. Good for Brandon. A wizard did it this time.
Aiden Alcium or a shard. They did it. Or an Aether.
Yeah.
Or an Aether. Excuse me. Excuse me.
We now have more wizards who could
so many wizards who could do weird world things that Brandon's like, wouldn't it be cool if? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it starts.
I also don't have much to say. I think this is just an interesting insight into Brandon's writing process, and I am glad that we have it. And it's going to be something to just keep in the back of our heads as we look at other future Cosmere stories with wonky worlds.
For as much as I would almost consider this one central to any Tress Wob, because I think this explains a lot of why the very theorizing heavy fandom has been so kind of like feeling like at a loss with the Tress world. And that's because Brandon, he finally says it here. I'm not going to explain that this time, which is, I think maybe, is this a first? It feels so uncommon. And I like that though. But I also am like, oh man, maybe for the sake of all the people who love this kind of stuff, maybe Brandon should have said that in January. Just because like everyone has been like so anxious, like scratching at the science to try and get the answers. And this time Brandon's just like, no. For as little as I have anything to say about this Wob, I'm just like, this feels pretty central to his mindset.
Well, the good news is that there's going to be 2 more Cosmere books this year for people to stew on, and so that'll probably help.
That'll be fun.
No, and if you want to see a bit of like the theorizing that people have done, other than the discussions on the Discord server, we did do a tiny bit of theorizing on this in either the Tress reactions or the Aether.
The Aether episode, yeah, that Aether episode went places. So
went to the bottom of the sea.
It did. Shannon, you're up.
All right. Scotch the Piper asks, who is Hoyd as the narrator telling the Tress story to? Brandon says, that is a Raffo, and that I believe it is evident in the books. Well, I believe some of it is evident. Not the specific individuals, but this far enough in the future of the Cosmere that I don't want to talk about individuals he might be speaking to. You can figure out the general tone, and people have. It was very clear, I think, to fans when they started posting, so you can ask on a fan forum.
Shardcast.com.
Ask on a fan forum if you want them to give their thoughts, but I'm not going to speak more on that. There's stuff that is relating to all of this that I can't even talk about yet because it gives too many spoilers. I'll be able to talk about them soon. Give me a couple years and I can start talking more about timeline and when certain things are happening that I just can't do at the moment because of certain spoilerific reasons. So our fan forum has come to some conclusions about people.
Yeah. What have they said?
Probably a group of people on First of the Sun.
Oh, for that. Sorry, I was thinking of the timeline stuff. But yeah. It does seem clear for
far future. This does seem far future to people on First of the Sun because First of the Sun does seem farther down the broad big timeline in the Cosmere.
Yep. And there's a few references like that. So I think that's pretty clear. Who specifically? Who knows? But like it seems like First of the Sun.
Actually, new information. This is new to me in that Brandon is indicating there might be details on the individuals later in a few years, that seems new to me. I didn't think that was ever going to be ever on the table.
It might not be like individuals, but like specific groups of people that have.
Also, I fully expect Kelsier to be around for Era 4.
Hey.
Oh, Kelsier.
Yeah, and I think the spoilerific reasons why he can't do this, the timeline stuff, is Stormlight 5 stuff. And I imagine it's going to go great for them. That's what I think. And he's like, okay, I can't really do this until we get Stormlight 5 because this is going to be a big deal. So.
See, I mean, the thing, he's saying timeline after Stormlight 6. So I'm assuming he also has to get through Era 3 and the Elantris.
Did he say Stormlight?
Nail down.
He said that earlier in we talked about it last time, right?
Recently.
Yeah.
So like I'm assuming like Year 3 and the Elantris sequels also have to do with this whole like nailing timeline.
That's
stuff down.
probably true because that's probably where things things are interconnecting more, and so he's like, okay, I really need to like be very sure of what these things are rather than being vague. So yeah.
It sounds like there is an agenda on his table where he's like, okay, I need to get through Stormlight 5. Stormlight 5 is kind of the last big Cosmere book that's going to be that I can just write. Right, this is kind of a standalone-ish story in a standalone series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we need to start thinking about where things fit in the Cosmere time.
You know, it really does feel like the Lost Metal and Tress together both give a real sense of just he's starting to accelerate. It feels like maybe he wasn't. Maybe it's not in preparation for Stormlight 5, but it's maybe in preparation for Stormlight 5 and the Eddies afterwards. I think of like Mistborn Era 3 and Elantris. Is it Elantris sequels? Is that really happening?
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
I know. Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's incredible. It's sort of like he's got to get things ready for the next stage. And it really feels like Lost Metal and Tress don't have a ton in common, but it does feel like the getting things ready for the concept of new technology and increased crossover and people being in, you know, Tress is not even happening in this timeline era in this, but it does give the sense of like getting the audience ready. I need the audience to be prepared for Era 3, which Stormlight 5, which Elantris 2, That is the vibe I'm sort of getting from this. And it feels like the next few 5 years of Cosmere are going to be pretty intense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. Moving on to the next swap. The question comes from letter contact 6814. And they asked, what are the other 6 types of spores we didn't get to see in the book? Were there any that you really wanted to include but couldn't? To which Brandon said that no, when I've written books, I tend to gravitate toward a couple of these aethers that are really the most dynamic for action scenes and things like that. Some of the other aethers are there for the necessity of the future of the Cosmere. For instance, Zephyr, while very useful in this for firing cannons and stuff, is really there so that we can have propellant in space by just add water and make yourself some extra propellant. Add atmosphere. So kind of a low tech, and of course there's better tech ways, but a low tech way to, hey, we've got Zephyr Aether, it makes breathable air. And so if you've got water and a barrel of this stuff, then we'll be able to breathe. So there are some of the aethers that are there for that sort of reason, that we can have pneumatic weaponry and some easy access to emergency propellant in space and stuff like that. But burdened aether is the one that I just keep coming back to. That one in Roside, which we've seen in Lost Metal, is making for the most dynamic storytelling. We'll see what I do with some of the others. I'm not going to answer what the ones I haven't mentioned are, because I'm saving them for future books we used and to be interesting and engaging with them.
Yeah,
and pretty wide.
With this fandom, I feel like the moment he tells us what they are, might have already figured out some of the interesting uses before he even writes the books.
That's certainly true.
So that's okay, fair.
Yeah,
fair, Brandon. Fair.
I definitely want to know, but really, I just want to know what the primal element that Crimson represents is, because
red spikes.
It's like what does that mean?
Yeah,
I want to know. So,
Ian had a question to that effect, and it didn't get asked. And I am sadness.
Brutal. But yeah, Brandon's always liked Verdant and Rosite because that's been in since the original Aether. So yeah, makes sense that that's the one he's thought about the most for many, many, many years. So yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting to me that he plans to use Zephyr as propellant, because the problem with rocket travel, right, is that you have to bring your own fuel.
Yes.
And the more fuel you bring, the
heavier
more fuel you need to carry, because you need to bring fuel for the fuel to carry that weight.
Yeah.
And so if you were going the route where okay, we're not going to use rocket fuel. We're going to use Zephyr plus water. You still have to bring the water.
Yeah.
And so
water is very heavy.
Yeah.
Water is very heavy. And so I guess you can make it work. Like Zephyr can be so much more. So like you can double your supply of Zephyr.
Sure.
So you can double your supply of fuel without really bringing a lot more water.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Because of the ratios between, you need just like a drop of water and it like quote unquote ignites the whole thing.
Yeah. It does just seem like water's heavy.
The water's heavy. I also think they're going to find ways to get more efficient with it.
Probably, for sure.
I'm imagining they're probably going to figure out flight, which will make travel around the globe a lot safer. Just you have your bit of water and you have your bit of Zephyrs, and then you can just float above the spores. And
I've heard.
Yeah, so just maybe like a more efficient, practiced way of doing what Tress did in the Crimson Sea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm picturing, at least for flight. And then if you're getting to orbit the same way you're getting off the ground in the first place, which is not how we've done it. Flight is sort of, rocket fuel is different from normal airplane stuff. You do it differently is my point. So it's like, it's interesting that the way that they achieve flight might be the same way they reach orbit, which is interesting.
It's just all rockets.
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
All rock.
Yeah. And also, I think, like the whole mass thing and how important it is for space travel, and which is why Brandon was still saying that this is like a low tech way of doing it.
Yeah.
Reminded me of something we were talking about with a friend of mine that's an engineer at NASA, about the whole the whole events recently with SpaceX's tests, and some people were asking about science behind that and all that. And one of the things she said is you have to have enough thrust to break through Earth's gravity, plus have enough fuel for the upper stages to make it to wherever they're going. In this case, the example was the moon. But rockets can only handle a certain amount of mass depending on how they're made and all that.
Yeah.
Mass and power are so important that they have to report on it very regularly, when they're doing projects like this. Because if those calculations don't work out, then nothing is going to work.
Yep. It's all math. Rocket science. Very complicated.
Yep. Turns out when people say it's not rocket science, they say that because rocket science is hard.
If you didn't know, we've landed on a comet. That is a thing human society has done. And just think about the amount of math that you need to do the trajectories in space to land on a comet. And we've done that. So, easy.
The way, just in the WoB in general, the way I read it, so the atmosphere creating an atmosphere user of Zephyr would be the low-tech stuff.
Yeah.
The way it reads is that the user's propellant, at least I guess emergency propellant, because probably
extra.
More
he does say extra.
Yeah. So it does sound like that will be the primary use of Zephyr in the future, and the atmosphere is getting started, because I don't know, I guess bring your own oxygen isn't. The oxygen would be bound up in the water, so I don't know.
Reminds me of one of those things of people in space suits, and they expel some air to push them back towards the ship,
exactly.
And it's you can just have an air tank that's Zephyr and mix some water. It's breathable. You can also use it as a propellant. That seems supernatural.
Smart.
100%.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, maybe they will have rocket fuel. Who knows?
I'm sure they'll figure it out. Yeah.
I'm just also reminded in general, with this, because they have to bring water and everything, what exactly happens with the water when you apply to the Aether.
So I wanted to bring that up because this is really cool. Tress notes what we recognize as the smell of ozone in when Zephyr interacts with water, and ozone is O3. It is 3 oxygen molecules. So as a byproduct, it sounds like you also get ozone is not breathable air, but you get a lot of oxygen, and so you can get propellant and halfway through an atmosphere, like breathable air.
Yeah, so, I guess I'm just worried if you mix like ozone is not good to breathe.
But you get you get extra oxygen out of that, and so you just need an additional step to turn the ozone into just O2.
Also, like if the Sapphire Summer actually is turning the water into like oxygen, then the excess, like, I mean, it's magic, so that probably doesn't make sense. But if you think about it scientifically, you have a lot of hydrogen left over then that you might, and then that isn't that great if you have a big mix of hydrogen and oxygen and bring any sort of flame.
This is like
fire.
I'm not a STEM person, but I did read The Martian, and this came up. So,
The Martian, surprisingly useful.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Get your humanities people into math.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know if Brandon's gonna worry about that. If he's just gonna be like, it creates these byproducts and that's what it does. It's like, okay, cool.
He has time to figure it out.
Look, the water changes to red spikes. I don't think we're worried about those hydrogen atoms there. Okay. So, all right, let's go to the next one.
So our friend from the Discord, Striker Easy, designed during the story, meaning Tress. Was she affected by Hoyt's curse? And Brandon says, Raffo, you will maybe get an answer someday. Maybe.
Interesting. That is such a non-answer. He is being very cagey with design.
Well, I'm just glad it's sort of like he didn't forget. Like, this has got to be.
I don't think Brandon forgets things about Hoyd. I think he's thought about Hoyd for a really long time. There's like, oh, this is a Hoyd scene that I can finally write and things. So, but
it's just
that's true.
The thing about design that's so like gets my brain all fired up in a good way is like, Hoyd has his own like main character syndrome thing going on. Absolutely. He's the main character of the whole universe, basically, and that's pretty. I would say that's accurate, actually. He is the main character in a sense. And it's almost like design is this fun element of like, he didn't know what he would get, but now he is a partner forever. And he just like, was almost opportunistic. Like he had to get a Spren and now it's her. And it's almost like this sense of like, she's not the destined hero, but she's just like this person who got like really elevated into this position. And I'm so excited. Her position in the story is so fascinating to me because I love this concept of like, I guess I got picked up by this guy who does everything, goes everywhere. And here she is centered in the story, except for when she's missing from Tress.
And Art too.
I was just trying to hang out with this king and suddenly like this weird white-haired guy comes along. I don't know.
Yeah.
God.
I still struggle to, like, I haven't fully internalized that Hoyd has a Spren. And so a lot, like, it never surprises me when people are like, hey, what's going on with design? But it's also not something that I, like, in my head, Hoyd is still going through the Cosmere solo. Mm-hmm. And so I am interested to see a lot of the things that Shannon has been talking about.
Absolutely.
Just kind of the interactions between the two of them, because that's a relationship that I fully expect is going to last until the end of the Cosmere.
And it's also like in all of Era 2, design was probably technically around due to how the timeline works out.
Probably.
And so we didn't see her there either.
Yeah.
She wasn't written in yet at that time.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So I definitely want to see both Hoyd and design, like on Scadrial, right? And seeing like what that is like,
Yeah.
And maybe she was one of the friends that Ulam sent the letters to, like
maybe potentially,
like, oh, look at my dumbass Radiant. Like, he's gotten himself into.
Just another week for a Hoyd and design here. It's like, oh god. I don't think design would be affected by the curse. I think the sorceress would need to specifically target design, in my opinion. But it's possible with the spiritual connection that there was some effect, but I don't think it'd be the same effect, if anything.
Yeah.
So.
I would expect, if anything, she would become, for some reason, inaccessible to Hoyd because he doesn't have all his faculties. And
sure. That could be a thing. Yeah, that's possible.
I just hate that maybe. I want a confirmed... Brandon, I'm going to answer this in the future, not a maybe. Maybe.
When is he going to answer? Like, what opportunity is
Era 4, there? He's going to look back and tell us this is what she was doing.
Oh, yeah. Era
20
4,
years.
Hoyd POV, he's going to go to you First of the Sun and tell the people there the story of Tress, and we'll end the story with, oh, by the way, design was also doing this thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
This next one is sent by a person actually at ShardCon.
Actually, successfully.
Because he's in Atlanta. What does the cognitive realm of Lumar look like? And Brandon, he raffles it. He says, I've been playing a little bit with the cognitive realm on some of these planets, so I'll raffle it for now. Basically asking, do we still have the same inversion going on? And I'm going to say it's a little weirder than normal, and Shadesmar often is a little weird. And so, so even more weirdness on Lumar. What a surprise.
I'm just imagining you're on the road and then all of a sudden there are like these at the spore fall. Instead, it's like a pit that goes down forever. Oh, it's so scary. Shadesmar is scary to me, but I'm frightened of that place.
I imagined it would be like a pillar in the sky going kind of up to the moon.
Okay. So same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Same shape, not inverted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because it would be solid. It would be spores would be solid, right? So they would be water in. Yeah, that's weird. Shadesmar is weird.
No idea. Yeah, so like with the moons, like this, it would be really interesting because of like this many celestial bodies this close together. How does that map to Shadesmar? Like always the same question: are they arranged in a circle around the central Luma circle? Yeah. How does it look? So,
Yep.
It's interesting that he's kind of reconsidering the land and water inversion, right? Because we have seen that on Roshar, we have seen that on Scadrial, but those are also the main worlds. Yeah. So,
like, what does Nalthus look like, or even like, I don't know, colorful? I guess.
He probably does have a lot of leeway because like it's perception based, right? So
if you have a perception of a place you can't go, then in Shadesmar you would be able to go. That's tricky.
and just like seas. What are these real seas? Like, what does it matter? Like, I guess if people think they're seas, then they'd probably have the inversion, right? You know?
Yeah.
What is a sea anyway? What is a sea?
All in my head, and like try to make a mental image. I can't. Like how in the world is this gonna look like? I have no idea.
Yeah. Cool. Let's leave Atlanta, which some of us couldn't get to, but that's fine.
Yeah, you know.
And move on to the next question that comes to us from. Let's go with Yogo Aorist.
Perfect.
Nice.
And they ask, we know that at least as late as Stormlight Archive, Hoyd can't physically hurt people. Does Ra'ina not know that? Or did Hoyd regain the ability by the time of Tress? Or does she just not want to risk it in case he can do something to her that wouldn't technically count as harming? And the context of this is that in the text of the book, Hoyd does like attacking motions like hey, I'm gonna. Tress goes, hey, cabin boy, zapper, and he starts drawing aeons as if to zap the sorceress in some way. And Brandon responds by saying it is the last one, which I already forgot what that was.
She doesn't want to risk it.
She doesn't want to risk it. Okay.
Risk it.
Just hedging her bets. Okay. Plus, Hoyd's very good at doing things to people that do not involve harming them, that can get around his particular brand of torment.
Capital T.
Mm-hmm.
And she would fall into being someone that it would be pretty easy to do some of those things to.
Oh, jeez.
This is a spicy
Whoa.
one.
So
Whoa.
Let's unpack.
Wow.
what does that mean?
What does that
Are
mean?
Elantrians sort of different from... Okay, can't hurt normal people. Can hurt a cognitive shadow.
The shadow.
What are Elantrian?
Yeah, I wouldn't say Elantrian would count, but
Are functionally immortal, but they're also like seem much closer to normal people than cognitive shadows. To me, but cognitive shadows are also very weird.
Do Elantrians technically die?
they can. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean, like, do they die to become
when they become
Elantrians?
Elantrians.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wouldn't say so.
No, they are not like the Return. They're not cognitive shadows.
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting.
I wonder if this is... So we've assumed that Hoyd just blanket can't hurt people because we see a lot of examples where he can't. I wonder if it's actually more tied to investiture in some way. And the more invested you are, the more like the less his torment activates for some reason. Maybe because of like shardic agreements and promises at the Shattering and things like that.
I was thinking it's more that like he's not technically harming them, but he could like maybe cut off her from the door for a bit and things like that. That could be bad. And like if someone's magical, Hoyd is so old and experienced and with such an array of magic at his disposal that he can toy with people in unpleasant ways that people wouldn't like, that aren't technically harming them but are still very unpleasant.
I could see that. I actually like that.
Like, oh yeah, I affected how you perceive something, or I adjusted some spiritual thing. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oops.
But I do sort of also like where Evgeni's idea was from. That's like maybe like what is it, or what does it mean to do harm to someone? Like if they're very powerful, you can do something that in like in their frame of reference doesn't hurt them or like doesn't harm them because they're so powerful. It doesn't do anything to them. Like so. How it's probably also based on Hoyd's perception. Is it doing harm to them and stuff like 100%. That? So yeah.
Although Hoyd, didn't expect to be able to hurt Kelsier. I was very excited that he could. So like there are definitely some actual things, right? So.
Yeah. I keep coming back to Kelsier, right? And like what was unique? Well, yes, about him. And it's gotta be his status as a cognitive shadow. It's gotta be the fact. Well, so either the fact that he was in the cognitive realm, or the fact that he was made entirely of investiture.
Yeah, because like I don't know if he could do it.
Can it not be both conditions? Like
could be potentially.
Yeah, but that feels too like because then the sorceress doesn't meet either requirement.
Yeah, but in terms of like he doesn't say some of those things, not all of those things. Like I don't think I could throw a punch at her, like the way he was wailing on Kelsier.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's like I think he could do probably more things to her than other people, but without being like the full Kelsier treatment. Because the thing is, Hoyd is old, and even though Mistborn Era 1 was a while ago, he was so surprised. It's and Hoyd is old. I feel like he would have known something. Yeah. Maybe he's just never had the opportunity to punch a cognitive shadow before. But
no, I think you're right.
No reason to, maybe.
or like maybe he could have punched one of the crazy ones on Roshar, but he's like, yeah, maybe not. That doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm not going to praise. Nope.
Yep.
No, I do like Eric's idea that there are things that are not harming technically anyone, but that are going to result in consequences that the sorceress would not.
Like just totally destroying her entire ship, right? That probably wouldn't be great for her, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Like she could maybe teleport off-world, but things like that it's just like, oh yeah, I don't like this at all. Like the game is lost. I'm old and immortal, and this isn't fun for me anymore, so I'm out of here.
Mm-hmm. The things that Rai'aina did as part of her curses, how much of them actually qualified as harm? You know, when you think about the things she was able to do that actually weren't, you know, killing someone or hurting someone immortal. Like she didn't damage anyone's body.
Exactly. So like,
there's a lot of stuff that we would consider harmful that the torment would not possibly. And I really do think that some of these things is like the key. I think he could probably get away with doing some things to her that she was doing to the others.
Maybe. Yeah. I think that's actually possible. Yeah, for sure.
Escobar asks, the Iriali left at least 300 years prior to Tress's story. Xisus was said to have been on Lumar for at least 300 years by Crow's book. Is the arrival of Xisus and departure of the Iriali significantly related? Brandon says, I did that intentionally. Yes.
So did Xisus come and the Iriali are like, okay, I'm out of here. No good can come of this.
So that's actually, the book doesn't say that.
Oh, yeah.
The book says that Xisus has been around for centuries.
Okay. Well, Xisus has been on Lumar for at least 300 years. Centuries. That's consistent, Evgeni.
It can be consistent, but like the premise of the question is these two things happen at the same time. The book doesn't say that they happen at the same time.
It doesn't say same time. It says related.
Sure.
Sure. And the fact that Brandon confirms kind of the implied premise of the question suggests that it might be 300-ish years in both cases, but that's not what the book says.
I mean, it still doesn't need to be like Xisus coming down and the Iriali immediately leave. It could be Xisus arrives, does some things that the Iriali are like, okay, I'm out, right? Like, so all of these things could be true.
The premise of the question does include at least 300 years. It works.
It's fine. Mm-hmm. But regardless, I think it's very interesting that these things are related. Because it doesn't, I mean, I guess the sorceress actually, you know, like, does worry about Xisus. You know, it's not. Xisus is powerful. Yeah, right?
He worries about her.
Yeah, maybe I'm mixing it up. It's been a bit. Yeah. But it's like, of the people that she worries about, I think it's like Xisus and Hoyd. And like, that's basically it on the entire planet.
But it also doesn't necessarily have to be that like they were worried about Xisus in some way, the Iriali. It could just be that like they have some like preset conditions, so to speak, or somebody had a vision that as soon as a dragon comes to this planet, you gotta go.
Yeah. That sounds like exactly the sort of Iriali stuff that they would do for sure, right? It's like, okay, well, the sign of the dragon, we gotta leave. I like that there's an instigating event, at least, because it's always been like, how do you get everyone to leave at the same time? Yeah. So it's like there being like particular events that lead them to be like, okay, yeah, time to go. Helps out, you know. This is far in the future, so that's very interesting. Potentially a left Roshar. In fact, I think
how
that's
many
likely.
Lands are we up to?
Yeah. Brandon's doing something with the Iriali. I don't know what it is, but he's going somewhere with it, probably.
Yeah.
I keep trying to tie in this fan theory that the Iriali have draconic ancestry in them into this.
I have never heard that theory. What's up?
That'd be cool.
I believe there's a word of Brandon that says the Iriali have non-human ancestry in them.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And the fact that they have metallic skin and metallic hair, and dragons have the dragon steel, right? And all of that is perhaps not indicative, but supportive of the idea that maybe they are, maybe the non-human ancestry in them is draconic.
I buy it.
If they know what dragons are like if they know that it would be in the norm for dragons to be like, I'm going to get a group of indentured servants for the, lifetime slaves, because and then tying that in with the information I just learned today about these other people worshiping a dragon, like maybe they're like, we know what this dynamic is like, maybe this is born of familiarity with dragons, and they were not just, this is a powerful being in the Cosmere, but a powerful being that we know at this dynamic, how it works. And we're out of here.
So this next swap comes from Lotus. Hi, Lotus.
Hi, Lotus.
Hi, Lotus.
If you looked at the spore under a microscope, what would it look like? Would it be like an Earth fungus spore, or would they look totally different?
This is such a Lotus question.
I've imagined, depending on the spore, them being different. We'll go with this as a non-canon answer right now. Makes sense. But I've imagined Verdant looking a lot like fungal spore that you would see some of the weird bacteria shapes and virus shapes, but larger, obviously, than that. But others I imagine looking like sand, like pieces of sand, and yet others being more like perfect little sear beads. For instance, Midnight Essence ones, just little tiny perfect dots, and things like that. So it really depends on the spore. They all, I think, will be different.
Yeah, interesting.
Makes sense.
This question would never have occurred to me.
Yeah.
It never would have occurred to me that they would even look different. That's pretty neat. I want to know what the crimson ones look like. Maybe they're just little bits of glass.
Ooh,
little shards.
like little glass shards. Ooh,
like tiny. The stuff that gets in your splinter, but you can't get it out because it's so so fine.
There's almost nothing worse than that. Where it's just like there's
fiberglass splinter. That's what I'm picturing.
Oh man, I do not like that. No thanks.
I bet you.
Lotus made a great illustration of like the spores in petri dishes. She posted in Fanworks on our Discord.
So fun.
Yeah.
That is fun
for that.
Great question. Never would have occurred to me to even ask it. That's fun. I mean, actually,
I understand why Lotus asked it, because she's a bio major. So,
you know what? Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
You're almost done here. Madness Lemon asks, what exactly did the humans that serve Zysis do? He promises that they would have engaging work. But would that just entail maintaining his home beneath the spores or assisting in his research? And Brandon says, there were select individuals who assist in the research, and he's studying the water cycle and the decomposition of spores at the bottom of the ocean and is very, very interested in that. And some of those who would work with him are allowed into that work as well. Some just take care of things. Certain individuals may not be of the temperament to ever do more than that. Madness Lemon continues, how honest can we assume he was being when talking about how his slaves are treated? And Brandon says, pretty honest. Dragons and Yolen are deities. Goes to what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
And they view themselves as deities. They are generally quite trustworthy in that the way that they say things, but they are also quite imperious as a general rule. Because you are an immortal being that is worshipped as a god, and that gets in your head and does certain things to you.
I mean, that all checks out. Yeah.
I was just like, I learned this today, and this is just exactly in line with what I was thinking. Great.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe I have draconic ancestry in me.
Maybe you do. Maybe you do. No confirmation that Zysis is foil, right? We didn't get that in the stream.
It's pretty implied. It's
gotta be,
but no confirmation.
I want a confirmation of that.
Same.
But that's interesting. I find it interesting that Brandon earlier was like, I haven't world built out like the water cycle and the spores and what's happening at the bottom of the sea. And Elsa's like, but Zysis is super interested. It's like, okay, you might need to come up with an answer there if you're really like, maybe there's like a few facets that Brandon has figured out that it's like, okay, this is going to be the important part that Zysis might know for later or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might become important, like when they do use it in like later eras, that like what does happen to the water that you apply that you can get it back somehow. Like that would be important. But everything else is like, yeah, we can hand wave.
And like, how long do the spores last if we bring them into space?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, for sure. What can you do to prevent them from decomposing or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing to look into.
Yeah, you need to do that.
What I do find interesting is that in the Rhythm of War, Ars Arcanum, Chris, like when Chris mentions Foyo, it is in the context of, oh, this is going to be interesting to Foyo if his stated purpose, which is to control the spores or to control the aethers.
Control the aethers, yeah.
Yeah, is actually, if controlling the aethers is his purpose as he has stated or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely can control them.
Yeah. Which suggests that studying the water cycle and the decomposition process and all of these things might play a role into that.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense that they're generally honest, but they're deities, so
Imperious people just don't think of a reason to lie. Why would they lie?
They're so below me, whatever, Good to know that they're treated okay, though, and that's not just him lying, I guess. That's cool, I guess.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's yikes for sure. Cool. So our last one for real for a while. No April Fool's Wobs coming up. We can't do that joke again. We'll never get to do that again. But
oh my god, I can't believe I just realized that the whole offering Tress to the dragon plays into the like dragons and virgins trope.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Just realized that. Anyway, last question.
Cool. So this last one is from Loose Theron Telescope again. Are the aethers the moons or just on the moons? Brandon, on the moons. Good question. They're on the moons. The moons are not 100% aether. That's probably good because I think you do need some rocky material here. Like,
gotta be.
Though, actually, this unrelated, but wouldn't it be just cool if there was like a planet that instead of a gas giant is just all spores? It's just like so many spores. That is the equivalent. Like, there's a story idea for you, Brandon. Nice.
Ooh, that's so scary. I'm scared of space. Planets.
Yeah, gas giants are crazy. Yeah.
Gas giants are scary.
Yeah, they're super wacky. Maybe wacky is not the best word for like Jupiter.
No, I understand. I knew what you're going for. It is wacky.
It's crazy. It's like, there's no surface. It's just, you'll just be crushed. Like,
it's just gas.
Cool.
It's just gas.
You'll be crushed forever.
Yeah, nice.
I am glad this is the answer because, like, just comparing the bits to how, like, we have the whole core aethers thing that's super confusing.
Yep.
But just comparing on like how it works in Aether of Night, like they go to the like core Aether, primal Aether. Who knows what the equivalent is gonna be like with the new way they work? But it would generate a lot more questions than answers if the answer to this question were the moons are the Aethers.
Very true. Yeah. Very true.
I never understood like that idea. Like it always seemed clear to me that these things were on the moons instead of the moons, but I mean, great. I'm glad we have that confirmed.
When you call it like the verdant thing, it's not that big of a jump. It makes sense as a question.
I can see it working either way. Like as soon as like whatever answer he gave, I would have been like, oh yeah, totally, it makes sense. That's my response to this one. I'm like, yeah, totally, makes sense. There's rocky stuff under there.
Nailed it. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's Wobs. Wow, look at that. Maybe we'll have a topic episode eventually, but wow, it's the raw recording under 2 hours for a Wob episode. I don't even know what to do with myself. I'll have the rest of the day. It's crazy. I can't even.
We are even caught up for like a month now.
Yeah. All right, so let's get on over to who's that Cosmere character.
This character is from Roshar.
Menace. Tien.
Tom.
Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? All right. You know how the game is played. You send 5 clues in a character to WTCC at 17shard.com. I read each clue aloud, and these guys have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. Let's start with this one from who? Almost just read the answer. It's always so dangerous. This one's sent in by the name at the bottom of the email, which is the answer and not who's signing the email.
This character is sent by Void.
This one is sent by Hunterfish. And clue 1. This character has multiple names.
Is it Hoyd?
It's not Hoyd.
Just getting that out of the way.
Yep.
Is
Kalak.
it
Not Kalak.
Light Song?
It's not Light Song. That's good too.
Is it Vasher?
It's not Vasher. He's got a lot of names.
Yeah.
Let's go through the whole court of gods.
Yep. Clue 2. This character is a Stormlight character.
Oh, or not.
Hey,
Is it?
Vasher still fits those characteristics.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Clarification question, sir.
Okay.
Does multiple so how does that play with titles? Like, would you count Stormblessed as an alternative name for Kaladin, or does it need to be a name that they go by?
I've been counting it as titles in my head, and that's how I've been answering these.
Okay.
What is a
We're gonna-
title? What is a name? I don't know.
Fair. Also, Stormblessed does become Kaladin's last name.
Yeah,
kind of.
so yeah.
That
Yeah,
is his
that's
actual name.
That's a notably bad example.
Jezeriza. Jezeriza.
Oh no, it's not Jezreel.
Stormlight
As in
character.
the Stormfather and the Rider of Storms.
No, it's not the Stormfather.
I'm gonna say that Azure is a Stormlight character.
It's not Azure, but I would concur. Yeah, with that
Yes.
ruling. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go with Nail. So
It's not Nail.
Like all the heralds have.
Yeah, we'll go
Let's
through the
get through all the
heralds.
Herald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clue 3. This character is known for his philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
We got
2 things.
Haravangian.
pronouns
It's
and
not Terravangia.
I was gonna say Terravagian, so like you said it.
Yeah.
I
I gotta take the easy ones to let you clear the way for you guys.
can't stare at my shelves because I don't have my shelves here.
tricky.
I feel like that should narrow it down quite a lot.
Yes,
but,
I know.
like, I can't think of any example of
I
that.
can't think of any. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of eliminates the stump.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go on Olympia and say it's Eshetman, the Heart of the Revel, because it's not two names.
Okay. Wait, how is
let's explain that.
Yeah, no, come on. Justify
Philanthropist.
Asher Marn's philanthropy for me here, buddy.
Like giving our
He's so
pleasure
giving.
to
He's so
people.
giving. He's so
Yeah.
giving.
Yeah. If you give pleasure to people, you
That's
are a
what philanthropy
philanthropist.
is. It's giving.
I know this is going to be really
love of
shocking.
humans.
Uh-huh.
It's philanthropy, so yeah.
I'm gonna surprise you, Paleo, and say that it is not Asher.
Oh,
I know.
Yes.
I know.
How shocking.
I know.
But yeah, I couldn't come up with any other.
Yeah, clearly.
Conceivably.
I feel inspired by this unhinged guess,
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
and so I'm gonna go with Gavilar.
It's not Gavilar.
Mm.
It's a good guess.
I think that's a good
I don't know
guess.
about multiple names, but otherwise it's a good guess.
Yeah. I figured he has a title tucked in somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going
King of
titles.
Alaska. His name is King of.
King Idris. We're bringing it back. That's his name.
This is not a great guess because philanthropy question mark.
Perfect.
But I'm gonna say Sedai's the sun maker.
Oh yeah, he was very. Yep. It is not the sun
Again,
maker,
this is the same like philanthropy ish
Right.
caveat.
I'm sure he thought of it. It was philanthropy.
He thought it was. It definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes. All right, clue 4. This character impacts at least 2 planets in the Cosmere.
Well, that takes away the guess I had in my head.
Rip.
Impacts at least 2 planets in the Cosmere.
That's what this clue says. Yeah, for sure.
I'm just gonna
It
go with
isn't-
the Shar.
It's not a Shar.
Okay.
Is it Thydakar?
It is Thydakar.
That's a
It's
good
Kelsier.
one. Oh, wait, we should have
Yay.
thought of this like ages ago.
Hey, yeah. The last clue would really have narrowed it down. This character has a drawing of a flower. So, there you go.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was
Okay.
thinking Kelsey as well, like as early as the second clue, but
Yeah. All right. So this next one here is from Mist Mage.
Oh, hello
I
there.
recognize the name.
And clue 1, this character likes to create drama.
That's like every character in the
There's
comic.
so many characters. This could be Kelsier again, but
It could be. It could
The
be.
last person to guess Kelsier wins.
Breeze.
It's not Breeze. I like that though.
Ooh,
That's good.
Good answer.
I'm gonna say Wax. Wax is a drama king.
That's
every
true.
single
Yes,
entrance
that's
he
true.
makes.
That entrance in Lost Metal in part 2 is like, I'm descending. He's like, hello.
Mhm.
How's it going?
It's
Good.
pretty drama. Light song.
It's not Light Song.
Oh, it's Kaladin.
It's not Kaladin.
This is also a drama king. But the
He's a-
exact
he's a
same.
drama king
Every
as well.
character in the Cosmere is a drama queen and like
Yeah.
dramatic entrances. So
Clue 2. This character is good at impressions.
Wayne.
It's not Wayne.
is it
Can you
Hoyd?
name another character that's good at impressions?
Veronica said Hoyd.
Oh, it's not Hoyd. Yeah, no, Hoyd would be good at that for sure.
And look, he is a very dramatic person.
He's a
Mhm.
very dramatic person.
He is.
He's all-
incredibly.
One of his classes is clearly Bard in D&D.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I think most of his classes are born.
That's true.
Bard,
That's
yeah.
true.
Charlie.
It's not Charlie. I like that.
I'm trying to see if I can fit a Sion in here.
Okay, all right.
Not necessarily drama queens, right? So
Oh, maybe one of them was. Maybe.
I mean, Aishi is kind of
yeah,
a little,
I'm
a
gonna
little bit
guess Aishi.
sassy.
All right.
Yeah, I'm
It
gonna
is
guess
not
Aishi.
Aishi. No.
Ah.
All right. Clue 3. This character knows they're disliked and doesn't care.
Mm.
Is it the design?
It is not design.
Knows they're disliked and don't care.
I would say this
Is
clue
it-
is very accurate.
Tensoon.
It's not Tensoon.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's pretty good.
Sadius?
It's not Sadius. That's a good guess too. I don't know about his
No,
impression
Impressions
skill.
is equal- yeah.
Yeah.
Is it good at impressions?
That's why, like,
Yeah,
a
that's
Kandra does seem
fair.
likely. With like impressions.
Yeah. I was kind of going for the, he's duplicitous,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
but it's
Is it
That's stretch.
Shalon?
It's not Shalon.
I'm just like there are a few light weavers. I'm like, I have to think about the
True.
light weavers' names.
True. Clue 4. This character is gullible.
What?
What?
So this clue doesn't quite fit anymore, but I wanted to, like, at the end of last clue, I want to guess Rishafir, and so I'm gonna guess Rishafir.
It's not Ray Shafir.
Okay.
Mist Mage has explanations for all of these clues, and I think
Okay.
I think they're fair. I think they're fair.
okay. I am concerned that they need explanations, but
Yeah.
Well, I mean, these are like less like, oh, this person's from Roshar. It's like there's a little more
Yeah.
meat to the clue, right?
sure.
And give you something to think about to make it hard for you.
And this isn't the very like.
No, there's one more.
Well, it doesn't seem to be the very sketchy, punny.
No.
Yeah.
I think this is fine. I think this.
I can think of people who fit all of these individually.
Yeah. Well, that's not helpful.
It's not gullible. That's crazy.
Impressions, gullible, drama.
Gullible.
Pattern?
It's not pattern.
Disliked and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Dislike.
Pattern has this whole like, you can kill me, just kill me thing. And I was like,
Yeah. Sure.
and Pattern's super
I
cool.
don't know if it's a great guess, but Wendell?
It's not Wendell.
I was also thinking, Spren. Like,
Okay, I have a good idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna shoot a lift in the dark.
It's not
did you already guess?
No.
No.
Didn't.
No.
Reshafir?
No.
Well,
I just
Paleo's
guessed
gonna guess the
Reshafir,
next one. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can't believe all Europeans look the same. Shannon.
I knew it was a guy who said it.
Oh, so it's old man. Just okay.
Yeah. Now you know.
Yeah, the Europeans with glasses, they all look.
All right,
Yeah,
Alex.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Alex.
That's the joke.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
That's a pretty good one.
All right. Clue 5. This character dies right after taunting their killer. Do you want me to read all these clues again? Would that be helpful?
How is it not Sadius?
It's not Lesian.
Okay.
Do you want all the clues?
Lesian isn't gullible.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, we're just
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Lesian was my first thought too, but I was like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Oh wait, also good than never. Like
This character likes to create drama. They're good at impression. They know they're disliked and don't care. This character is gullible. And this character dies right after taunting their killer. This is an
If it was
excellent
not-
paleo face.
If it was not for gullible, I would have guessed Rabonio.
Mhm.
Yeah.
gullible is excluding a few people because I'm like,
I'd definitely say this character has been tricked multiple times for sure.
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times.
I have no
If that's
idea.
helpful.
Can we leave Rochard? Is that possible?
Can we
I
leave
don't know.
Roshar yet?
Do you have a spren? This is kind of hard to get off with. Do you have a spren?
I hope this is a Cosmere story I've read.
It is a Cosmere story you've read, Shannon.
Okay.
I guarantee it.
Okay, great.
Justice Lucal.
No. No, it's not. Jastas. Jastas, I don't know. I can never tell with Brandon J's anymore.
I forgot which vowels were in that.
Look, does anyone care with Jastas?
Was it
No one.
Jastes? Was it Justies? Was it Yesties?
This is not even necessarily a dude. I'm trying to think of all the women who've been killed, and it's like,
You can guess Blushweaver.
that's true. I was thinking of her at the
Blushweaver's
same
a
time.
good one.
Okay, I'll guess Blushweaver.
It's not Blushweaver.
Ha!
You already guessed, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
The gullible.
Well, I think we might go into
really
another round of
difficult.
guessing. So,
Ooh, no, this is
if
the
you
last one.
This is a.
no, I mean, I know it's round 5, but I mean like another. If we have a 6th,
We
get
don't.
it out there before he kills it.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, sure.
I
I don't have another clue, but
I know.
Yeah.
likes to create drama, good at impressions, knows they're disliked and don't care. Gullible, dies right after taunting their killer. Again, I have. No, but this doesn't work for 2 clues.
all these clues do fit this character. So,
Hmm.
I genuinely have no idea.
you want to pass?
Yeah, I'm not going
Right.
to think of
Do
anything.
you guys want to do another guess, a round of guess, or are you
Let's
done?
just cross Kelsey off the list.
It's not Kelsey.
Yeah.
Okay. Because some of these fit.
Yeah, but not gullible, right?
Yeah, no.
Not
And except for
Gullible.
Gulliver. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't think of when he was ever tricked. But that
Yeah.
was.
That's a shockingly difficult clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Mm,
So you want the answer?
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Ruin.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
The read
He was
impression.
tricked. He was tricked by Laris. He was tricked by Vin.
Yeah.
Died immediately after taunting Vin.
Yeah.
Does like to create drama.
Yeah.
Good at impressions is
impersonating Reen. He's very good at
Reen,
it.
yeah.
Reen.
Yeah.
And knows they're disliked and doesn't care.
Damn, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't describe that as being gullible. Like being tricked is, but
okay. Let's read what Miss Mage says about that clue. This dude gets betrayed and imprisoned by Laris of all people, and then Vin leads him by the nose back to Luthadel for a final fight before ascending. He fell for Kelsier's fake out with Marsh. Gullible. All caps, spaces in between. So there you go. Yeah. I think that he makes a good case.
Yeah.
That's a good case.
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable.
I don't like it, but I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Let's go on to our Who's That Cosmere character priority queue. For $10 a month, you can be a herald on Patreon and you can send in priority queue things that we'll read sooner than other times, for sure. Especially because those other ones we just read were from 2021. Hey, we have read 2022 things, but we go randomly a bit. Okay, this one is sent in by Mason Wheeler. And clue 1, this character is the subject of a joke.
Thaddeus.
Not Thaddeus.
Amaram.
It's not Amaram.
Let's get rid of the wit things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trying to go like 4 layers deep in some Hoyd story.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Aurelius Ruther. Is his name? I think.
No, it's not
the
Ruthar.
Hasha.
Yeah. No.
I am gonna go with Vin.
It is not Vin. Clue 2. This character has a mount with an unspecified name.
Unspecified name.
Yeah.
Renarin.
It's not Renarin.
Is it Kaladin?
It's not Kaladin.
Oh, he never actually got Dreamstorm, did he?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stubbornly stick with Scadrio and go with Breeze.
It is not Breeze.
The fact that it's mount rather than like horse.
I know.
It is a mount. Yeah. Could be a horse. Could not be a horse, potentially.
Yeah.
The unnamed protagonist of Dan's Cosmere story, where they ride a possibly Fain, not horse.
Yeah, well, you already guessed, Evgeni, so that's unfortunate for you.
Damn.
But Marvin could guess that.
Yeah.
I don't think Mason Wheeler has access to the spiritual realm, so.
To be fair, that guess does match clue 4. Actually, it's a funny thing about what Evgeni said.
Okay,
keep that in mind. It could be so many Alethea High Princes because they just have their horses without. Just so many Alethea High Princes just have horses and they never get. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody just guessed Elokar yet, so I'm going to go with Elokar.
It's not Elokar.
I guess so.
Clue 3. This character is noteworthy for their unusual style of dress.
What was the first one?
This character is the subject of a joke.
Not deep with their unusual style.
Just unusual style of dress.
I don't know if these fit, but I want to guess Notum.
It is not Notum.
I'm trying to even think outside of Stormlight, and I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so difficult.
Can't even get that far.
Difficult.
Yeah.
This is a wild guess. What's the name of the guy in White Sand that is like the Lord Merchant? The one that's
Lord
always
Merchant?
Like, I don't know if Merchant. I mean, never serious and making jokes all the time. And
it's the Helm guy, I think.
The other.
Yeah, I never know what.
Yeah.
Stylus, but I
Delius.
think you know. Yes,
No.
Delius. Thank you.
No, it's not Delius.
Look, mounted and not horses led me to White Sand.
Sure.
Is it Navani?
It's not Navani.
Bridgeford.
Dalinar has
bridge.
a name though.
I was thinking
Oh,
the fourth bridge. And she's a little unusual because she wears a glove instead of, like that raises eyebrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unusual style of dress.
Yeah, that one's tripping me up.
Yeah.
I can never remember his name,
Okay.
but I think it starts with P. But the head guy in Warbreak.
Oh, the guy with the hat, Parlin? No, it's not Parlin.
Parlin, right? Yeah.
He came up last time in the last episode too.
I like that guess.
Yeah.
wasn't it Parlin Appreciation Day just a few weeks ago?
All right. Clue 4. That one that Evgeni did fit of that one in. This character has never specifically appeared on page in any of Brandon's books.
What?
Never specifically appeared on page.
Yeah.
Hoyt and Dragon on a Horse.
It is Hoyt and Dragon Horse.
I've answered that one before, so I feel like just good.
Unusual dress. Subject of the show.
I can't even be upset about
Oh my god. Never guessed that.
all of the clues fit well.
Yeah,
they do.
Clue 5 was this character is familiar to anyone who's familiar with WTCC.
Damn.
Mason said, as expected from Mason's Who's That Cosmere character submissions, this one is a bit of a troll.
I forgot Mason did those things. Yeah.
I am dressed appropriately for this clue.
No, true.
Not in
Nice.
drag, but
True.
With Hoyt.
Are you on the horse? Or?
Yeah, you got the horse. You got the horse.
Hoyt and Dragon.
And it was a
Yes.
horse.
Oh my god.
Very good, everyone. Well, thank you all for watching. You can find us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun. We have an awesome Discord with tons of people and lots of activity as well. You can support our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We have monthly art polls and other stuff too, probably, maybe. Sometimes. Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, kind of. We did get it back. But
technically back on Twitter.
Technically. SoundCloud, YouTube, all the places. And you can leave a review on iTunes if you listen through there, I guess. And we'll see you all next time for some other episode. I don't know what's next. We'll figure it out. Bye.
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 Bye.